Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Merrillville Town Council for today, Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, remain standing for our invocation.
You're a little different order.
We knew on this side of the dais what was going on.
Let's pray.
Mr. Griffin.
Oh God, our Father, we come before you this evening, thankful again for another opportunity. Thankful, Father, for the people in this room that instill hope into a community, that seek for that which is best. And Father, we just ask for that wisdom and knowledge. We give you thanks for the protection you provide through those who serve. And we bring all this before your mighty throne of grace and mercy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you all. Mr. January, would you please call the roll of the council tonight?
Vice President Neal.
Here.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards.
Here.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton.
Present.
Councilwoman Uslick.
Here.
Councilman Pettit.
Here.
Councilwoman Hardaway.
Here.
President Bella.
Here.
All 7 present.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. Moving on to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. We have an employee of the month in our fire department this evening. I'll call on Town Manager Michael Griffin to assist with that at the podium.
Mr. President, thank you. I'm going to ask Deputy Fire Chief Jim Lilly to join me along with Stacy Gaza. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Gaza or Gaza? Gaza, thank you. I hoped the long A would work. The words in this particular certificate are so moving. I'm going to allow the Deputy Chief to read those for you. But before you do, I want to say a few words about why I think the council is so wise to do this. Recognizing any one employee can be tricky because the council has said individually and as a group many times how much they value all the people who put in work to help them serve the people of Merrillville. But we do think it's important to recognize the people who serve every day, who do it quietly, especially when they're doing it for the fire department. It's known, you see that crest that the deputy chief is wearing? That's actually the Cross of Malta, because the fire department long ago aligned itself with the bravery and courage of the Knights of Malta. And then they're quietly served by the bravery and courage every day of their administrative assistant, who has to make sure that the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and the paperwork is completed before the run and after. So, Chief, if you'll read the certificate.
Stacy is an absolute godsend, and we'd be lost without her. A few years ago, back when the fire department needed a new administrative assistant, we were elated that Stacy was interested. She has streamlined our office, operations, and continues to make improvements every day. Stacy is excellent at what she does, and we could not ask for a better person to work with. Thank you very much, Stacy.
Thank you.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Thank you.
Congratulations, Stacy. Moving on this evening to the swearing in of new police officers in the town of Merrillville. Will Nicholas Enyart please approach the front, as well as Brian Williams. Police Chief. Police Commissioners. Please use the microphone, guys, when you're speaking.
swearing in the oath of office. And just repeat after me, Nick. I, Nicholas Einhardt,
I, Nicholas Enyer,
do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
diligently,
diligently,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a police officer
as a police officer
of the town of Merrillville, Indiana,
of the town of Merrillville, Indiana,
according to the law,
according to the law,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right. And Brian Williams. All right. Please repeat after me. I, Brian Williams,
I, Brian Williams,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
diligently,
diligently,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a police officer
as a police officer
of the town of Merrillville, Indiana,
of the town of Merrillville,
according to the law
according to the law,
and to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right.
Just wanted to give a little quick note about these two officers. Lately, it's been extremely difficult to hire police officers, period, let alone two great officers like we got. Both of them have excellent work experience. Both of them are already police officers, and it's just one step further into making our town safer, making it a better place. So thank you guys for joining board.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, officers. Be safe out there. Moving on tonight to public hearings, we have the town attorney review of a proof of publication. Mr. Svetnov.
Mr. President, before me, I have the proof of publication that was tendered to me by the town manager. Proof of publication has been reviewed and is in order and is legal. So at this time, I suggest we proceed.
Very good. I'll call for a public hearing now, ordinance 24-01. It's appropriating additional monies for the Municipal Cumulative Capital Fund. Mr. Griffin, anything to add?
Mr. President, members of the council, Mr. Clerk Treasurer, if you have any specific questions about this, it is fairly straightforward. It is a $245,000 total appropriation, some of which was necessary to return monies that were being used for an election bill that we received from Lake County, which happens every 4 years. Also, we needed to satisfy an expense that we thought we could pay from another fund, but determined we could not, so this fund was available. And then also, it's going to satisfy, which will be later on your agenda this evening, I believe, costs that are associated with estimates of continuing a lease with the North Side Police Station that's located at I believe that's called the Broadway Plaza, as well as an estimate of costs associated with impoundment services in furtherance of the animal control services of the town.
Thank you, Michael. We're now open for public comment on this ordinance 24-01. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I think we have this farther in the agenda. Is that right, Michael?
Yes, Mr. President?
Yeah.
You can either you've conducted the public hearing, you could actually take up the ordinance now, but it's your convention under your rules to have a second reading calendar on your agenda, and that ordinance has been placed there.
Very good. We'll do it then. We'll close public comment. Moving on tonight to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable register voucher approval for February 27th, the AP voucher register summary for ARP purchases for February 27th, the approval of the Town Council meeting minutes of February 13th, and the approval of the Town Council workshop minutes from February 21st. Chair will entertain a motion for approval.
So
No.
moved.
I have a comment in regards to the.
1 second, please, Mr. January.
Yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. Pettit on the floor. Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Second by Mrs. Uselak. Open for discussion. Mr. January.
All right. I would like to correct, in the previous meeting, Councilwoman Uselak asked, did everyone receive a 3% raise? And to be correct, we said that everyone did get a 3% raise, but in examining the records, everyone didn't. The two administrative secretaries got a 5.64% raise, while the rest of the town either got 0 or got a 3% raise. So I just wanted to point that out for the record.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Not going to work. A roll call vote, please, Mr. Generey.
Vice President Neal.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton.
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak.
No.
Councilman Pettit.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway.
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
6-1.
6-1, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on tonight to presentations of declarations. We have Women's History Month. The Town Council of Merrillville designating the month of March as Women's History Month. Madam Vice President.
Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historical contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. Whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, social role in every sphere of life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. Whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation. Whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable philanthropic, early charitable philanthropic and cultural institutions in our nation. Excuse me.
Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. Whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military.
Whereas American women have been leaders, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement. Whereas, despite these contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history.
Whereas the Town Council of Merrillville, Indiana is committed to equity, diversity, and inclusion through the continued educational programs for all town employees, practice daily with our pledged and displayed diversity and equity statement, we would like to make the following declaration. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Indiana, does hereby declare the month of March 2024 be designated and recognized as American Women's History Awareness Month, and call upon the citizens of Merrillville to observe, discuss, and educate others with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and other activities about the value and contribution that American women have made to the betterment of our nation, state, and more specifically, our hometown of Merrillville.
Nicely done, ladies. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I second.
Motion by Mrs. Uselak, second by Councilwoman
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Chandler Felton. You two sound alike. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Mr. January, let's call the roll for this, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella,
Yes.
7 in favor.
7 in favor, the motion carries. Thank you, and once again, nicely done, ladies. Moving on to standing committee reports tonight, Budget and Finance, Councilor Neal.
Thank you, President Bella. We have a meeting scheduled, our meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 12:30, and so I'll have forthcoming up information probably for our next meeting.
Great, thank you. Council Affairs, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Street Department, Mrs. Uselak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I had talked to Steve King about a couple of potholes that they had filled on Hendrick Street. And also, what did I call you about something else, Steve? I can't think right now.
I don't remember.
There was something that you went out to do.
Probably picking up garbage or something.
Yeah, well, anyway, he picked up garbage. That's my report for now.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Elections, Public Relations, and Town Beautification, Councilwoman Neal.
Thank you, President Bella. At this time, we would like to announce the town slogan
Mailbox.
that was chosen, and also have an opportunity to congratulate the winner that submitted the slogan that was chosen by the community. You could come forth.
You announce their names? You have their names?
I'm gonna get it. I just keep forgetting.
Okay, great, thank you. And I already put that on my email signature. I hope you guys noticed it.
I did.
Okay.
Candy Coben submitted one of the entries for our new town slogan. This town slogan will now represent the town of Merrillville. We will officially be using this real soon. We asked our community to be very involved in choosing a slogan. We didn't want to just choose one ourselves. We wanted to see what the community thought about their town. So she did submit this slogan, Merrillville, the heart of the region. Out of over 350 submissions, 242 chose the heart of the region. So it was highly recognized and chosen by our community. So we thank you very much for submitting that. She did tell me earlier that she was like, well, I never did that before, and I was kind of skeptical about doing it. So I told her I greatly appreciate that she did, because she's making history with the town of Merrillville. So thank you very much, ladies. We appreciate it. And this is for you. This is mine. So we are officially done with our town slogan. We'll be moving forth with that, more to come. And yes, you will see it out on our everything, as President Bell already stated. He's using it for his signature on his email. So the rest of you all can do that too.
So, Councilor Neal, would you mind actually making a motion to adopt this as our new town slogan, so we can vote on it and really make it official, so it's part of our
Yes.
record?
Yes, I
Think
make a
that'd be
motion to
appropriate?
have the Merrillville, the heart of the region, adopted as our new town slogan.
I second.
Proper motion and a second to adopt this as our new slogan. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Mrs. Neal?
That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Environmental Affairs, Mr. Pettit.
Mr. President, the only thing I have would be to Councilor Neal. Rhonda, have you been, I believe she's our Lake County Solid Waste
She is.
appointment. Have they had a meeting yet?
Yes, we did have our first meeting a couple of weeks ago. Our second meeting is coming up March the 21st, which I'll be doing a Lake County Solid Waste 101. So, yes.
All right, and Mr. President, I'll defer to Matt under the department reports for the rest of stormwater.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Moving on to personnel policy and employee benefits, Counselor Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. The interviews for Parks Director will begin on tomorrow. We're still in search, so we will be having those interviews. We now have 3 candidates that we will be interviewing on Wednesday and Friday. Also, True Wealth Management, financial management firm came in and did presentations for our town employees as well as the department heads. This is a wealth management firm that we are in consideration of and hopefully make a motion tonight to approve for them to transfer their nationwide to True Management so that we can have employees invested in our 459 plan?
457.
457 plan, thank you, Town Manager, for that correction, so that they can invest in their futures and the futures of their family. So I would like a motion.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I beg your pardon. We also prepared, knowing that this would be part of your report. You can offer it as part of your report now for action, but Resolution 2408 represents what you're asking the council to embrace. We wanted to do it this way because it is a change from one plan advisor to another.
Okay.
I thank you, and I thank the council and clerk treasurer.
We could wait till that comes up later in the agenda if you'd like.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else to report?
Nothing else to report. Thank you, President.
Was there anything for you to report on public safety?
I was like, I guess I could continue. So it's under public safety. We did have a meeting today with representatives from Waste Management. I know that there are concerns from our residents as far as garbage pickup and how they're tossing around cans and leaking fluid. We did speak to representatives, and they have assured us that they are taking the proper precautions by cleaning the trucks and doing their daily inspections. They have did corrections and education with drivers on how to handle the trucks and trying to make sure that they're not full on windy days so that trash does not blow all over our town. It was a very positive meeting, and so going forward, hopefully that was just the beginning of establishing a better relationship and open communication. That is all, President.
Thank you. Economic Development, Mr. Pettit.
Yes, Mr. President, we had a redevelopment commission workshop prior to our regularly scheduled redevelopment commission meeting. At the workshop, we had representatives from Butler, Fairmont, and Seifert come in and discuss the Mississippi Street corridor, in which the town of Merrillville has secured $6 million in federal aid money for intersection improvements at 69th in Mississippi, as well as potentially 79th in Mississippi. We heard a presentation on 5 different alternatives. They are going to be moving forward on 69th in Mississippi. At this time, Mr. President, I'd like to call another redevelopment commission workshop for March 26th at 5 o'clock. The purpose of that is going to be to look at the Whitcomb Street corridor, but I would advise my colleagues, I did say I would take a poll, so ladies, please be ready we can give them a recommendation to Butler Fairmont on the 26th as far as Mississippi Street, and then we will hear a presentation from Robinson Engineering on the Whitcomb Street corridor from US 30 down to 91st, and that improvement. So that will take place again March 26th at 5 o'clock. And then we'll have a regular scheduled meeting, Michael, at 6:15 on the 26th. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Parks and Recreations, Counselor Uselak.
Oh, no report at this time. Thank you.
Utility Liaison,
No report.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No report at this time.
Okay. Moving on to Special Committees, Abandoned Blighted Properties, Councilwoman Haynes Edwards.
No report at this time.
Moving on to the Quincentennial Committee, Counselor Shauna Haynes Edwards.
No report at this time.
Special Town Projects, Counselor Neal.
Thank you, President Bella. I just wanted to report on our Black History Program that was held this past Friday at the Dean and Barber Center. We were just about filled at our expected capacity. The event did go well, pretty much as planned. From the event, we want to thank all of our sponsors. We could not have did it without our sponsors, all of our sponsors that participated. And in addition, we are going to be able to give $5,000 to the Legacy Foundation, which the Legacy Foundation is where we do give out scholarships to Merrillville High School students and one Andrean student. So we will be able to contribute to that this year.
Great, very good. Anything else?
No, the only other, we are working on, I probably should have announced it with the other before, but just to give a slight update on it, for as far as the town beautification is for our flowers and things that we're going to be doing. That is just a little bit ongoing because we did have a little setback yesterday, but but that information will be forthcoming also, so.
Good. And then we already started some negotiations on fireworks for this coming year, right, on July
Yes.
3rd?
Yes, we started the negotiation for the fireworks for the 4th of July fireworks.
Thank you so much. Moving on to department and commission reports, Lake County Solid Waste Management District, Counselor Neal.
Only update I have is that what Mr. Pettit asked, I did attend the very first meeting. It was very interesting, lots of information, and luckily they are giving a one-on-one for all of the new members at the very next meeting. So we'll meet an hour early to go over a lot more information for those people who are new and coming. So I'll be attending that on March 21st.
Great, thank you. Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, Counselor Hardaway.
No report. Next meeting will be in April.
Thank you. Stormwater Management Resources, Matt Lake.
Yeah, really quick. We presented at the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission meeting to their full board. This is for a project in 97th and Grand Avenue. If awarded, we'll get $345,000, which our engineer's estimate tells us that's about 50% of the cost of construction. It's essentially shovel-ready, except for some right-of-way acquisition at this point. So we'll wait to hear back from their board, and then we can move forward accordingly with that project. I submitted a proposal to IDM for the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. If awarded, we'll get $57,814 towards a climate action plan. That would cover 100%, so that's a non-matching grant, which I like to go for every once in a while. They're always good. We're conducting technical plan reviews ongoing with our technical review team, including Robinson Engineering, so we get another meeting scheduled pretty soon here. The NISWAG is hosting a contractors workshop at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center, March 8th. I was asked to present. We got approximately 200 people registered already. So
Wow, that's
it'll
great.
be a pretty full event. And I've been coordinating with the Northwest Indiana Food and Farm Climate Action Cohort, and we've been talking about different aspects of food insecurities. I presented on our apple orchard project along with urban forest management, open space conservation, and stormwater management as it relates to environmental impacts for municipalities. And that's all I have at the moment.
That's great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Director Lake?
Matt, where are we at, the status of Connecticut and at Pierce?
The only thing
69th.
we're waiting on is NIPSCO.
NIPSCO?
So I could forward you some of the emails and correspondence. They're trying to expedite some relocations there.
Okay.
So but we're all set to go. VS is ready, contractor's ready. They're ordering materials, so
Who got the contract?
Grimmer Construction.
Grimmer, okay.
Thank you. Fire Territory Board, Mrs. Neal and Ms. Hardaway.
No report.
No report.
Department reports, Steve King, Street Department.
So we've been very busy. We've been doing some shoulder enhancements on Clay Street, south of Route 30. We had some embankment and road over the winter. We've been working on that. We've also been trimming trees throughout town. The only time we trim trees in town is if they impact the school buses or our snow plows to get through. So we've been kind of tidying up the trees. I've been doing a lot of pothole patching in town. We also had a street department committee meeting with the members, and we're getting close where we need to make a decision on what we're going to do with the fuel tanks. We presented this at the committee, so just waiting on some action on that, some further discussion and action. Other than that, that's all I have for right now.
Steve,
Plus, you have to add, Steve, excuse me, that you are still in dire need of 2 more workers.
We could-
Part-time workers, that's what we're looking at now, too.
Yeah.
And what I forgot in my report, Steve did put up a mailbox that Waste Management knocked down. I forgot about that,
We did.
Steve.
We
But
did.
he was right out there, and thank you for
Yeah,
that.
we did.
That's all
so
I have to
I
add.
think to move forward on new workers, we have to identify how we're going to fund it. So
Sure.
that's the first thing to do, and then bring it back to the council, for sure.
Yep.
No, thank you.
Welcome.
Police Department, Chief Newses.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been getting a lot of calls and people inquiring about the women's self-defense class that we're going to be putting on here on March 21st at 6 p.m. at the Dean and Barbara White Center. There's no actual sign-up list. It's whoever shows up, and we're going to keep taking people till we don't have any more room, but I just wanted to put that out there to everybody. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Chief. Interim Town Manager, Michael Griffin. Anything to add tonight?
Mr. President, members of the council, Mr. Clerk Treasurer, I am heartsick. My written report that usually is on your desk today is delayed. I have an explanation, the demands of the office lately, but I do intend to complete it this evening and have it out to you. And for those of you who don't have your email, it'll be delivered in your Friday packet. So, Mr. President, if there's a direct question, I'm only too happy to answer it. Otherwise, I'll be very pleased to be seated.
Anything for Mr. Griffin, councilors? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Moving on tonight to general orders, we have first reading ordinances, ordinance 24-03. It's an ordinance appropriating additional monies in the annual budget for the Park Department of the Corporation General Fund, all pursuant to Indiana Code 36-5-3-5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Counselor Hardaway. Open for discussion. Anything else to add with this, Mr. Griffin?
Mr. President, this became necessary because of services related to camera and monitoring services that were done in most of the parks. We stopped it because we had to identify a funding source, and we don't know if we have enough for the balance of it, but we do feel confident that this can be sustained as presented to you.
Great, thank you. The total for the fund is $75,072. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. January, would you call the roll, please?
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on tonight to ordinance 24-04 on first reading. It's an ordinance to the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, authorizing additional appropriations in the 2024 budget motor vehicle highway restricted funds. Mr. Griffin, anything to add?
Mr. President, no, this is consistent with a plan that Trista Hudson from Sender, Dalton, and I discussed with the members, the leadership of the department. There's been a new finding, let me tell it differently. There's been new guidance offered by the State Board of Accounts on what would constitute a permissible restricted fund expenditure that is a little less constrained than their original guidance. And I believe that this is reflecting the need for this additional appropriation. By the way, this was not information we knew at budget time, and that's why we're bringing it to you now.
First reading. Thank you, Michael. The amount was $50,000. Chair, entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hardaway, second by Mr. Pettit for approval of ordinance number 24-04 on first reading. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, Mr. January, call the roll, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on tonight to second reading ordinances. We have an ordinance 24-01. It's an ordinance appropriating additional monies in excess of the annual budget for the Municipal Cumulative Capital Development Fund. I believe we referenced this earlier in the evening with the report by Councilor Hardaway. This is a variety of funds we're going to use. If approved, it would be $92,245 for the operations, pretty much for the North Police Station. It also addresses a $10,000 800 contract with the Lake County Animal Service.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Councilor Hardaway for approval of ordinance 24-01 on second reading. Open for discussion. Seeing none, open to the public. Is there any public comment on this particular ordinance 24-01, creating funds of $92,245? Is there any public comment? Hearing no public comment. Mr. January, roll call, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor. Mr. Griffin or Police Chief, is there any need to read this on its second reading, or do we have to advertise this? Are there any?
Mr. President, you actually had it in second reading earlier. The hearing was advertised for this evening.
Okay.
And out of your grace, you not only allowed them to comment during public hearing, you allow them to comment now pursuant to the local rule.
So we're good to go?
We're good.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just did.
Okay, we're good? Yeah. We voted on this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, making sure I goof up. All right, move on tonight to resolutions. Resolution 24-05, the approval of a resolution approved by the Stormwater Board of Directors approving small and emergency purchases of services and supplies by the Executive Director of the Stormwater Utility. Mr. Lake, would you like to preference this in any way?
Yeah, this is just in instances where we have an emergency situation, sometimes we get sinkholes in the middle of the road, things that can't wait. So we go ahead, we have contractors that are reliable that we can pull from. We could even solicit quick quotes to get, the lowest number, but in an emergency situation, you gotta address something, especially smaller things like that. Obviously, larger things go to the board. Everything eventually goes back to the board for their approval, but
Right.
this is just preemptively so we can, respond accordingly in emergency situations.
So this is limited to up to $10,000 as needed, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Chair, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Uselak,
Second.
second by Counselor Neal for approval of Resolution 24-05.
I have a question, please.
Mrs. Uselak.
Yes, to continue on with this, in our packet, we have an ordinance number 2402. And then we have it amended as a resolution 2402 on our amended Town of Merrillville Commission meeting. So is there a mistake here, or am I reading this wrong? This was ordinance number 2402 to amend the wage and salary ordinance establishing the wage and salary rates of the elected officers, the non-elected officers, and the employees of the town of Merrillville.
No, that was actually, we approved that at the last meeting, Mrs. Uselak, and that was simply a copy of that approved ordinance for your packet.
Well, what was the amendment on there?
If you recall, we changed some hourly rates up to $15 an hour. We had a mistake in the salary ordinance for 2024. It was, had to do with some parks employees. What else was there, Michael?
Bailiffs.
It went
Part-time
from
bailiffs.
$13.50
Part-time bailiffs, yeah.
or so up to $15.
Okay. So
that's just,
this actually is not any part of a resolution.
it's not for anything tonight, right?
Okay, this was already settled.
That was approved, yes, on second reading.
Okay, I was just very curious on that.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any questions or comments on the Resolution 2405? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 24-06. It is a transfer of funds resolutions, an increase of $10,000 and a variety of funds listed there, and a decrease of $10,000. The net effect is zero. This is transferring monies in the 2024 budget within the general fund.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
by Mrs. Uselak and a second by Counselor Hardaway for approval of Resolution 24-06. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? $10,000 transfer carries. Moving on tonight to Resolution 24-07. It is also a transfer of funds, decrease from the ARP funds listed there of $35,290, and an increase into the ARP Building Sanitation Fund and the ARP Social Security Fund of $35,290. The net effect is zero.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Counselor Neal.
Both of them.
No?
And the-
Haynes Edwards? Well, we want it right. Sorry.
We were in sync.
I'm gonna split you guys up. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to Resolution 24-08. It's a resolution ending the nationwide deferred compensation plan, Section 457 plan, presently provided by Nationwide as a bundled plan, and replacing it with the deferred compensation plan with True Wealth, Inc. to serve as plan representatives. This was alluded to earlier by Counselor Hardaway. And I hope she makes a motion to approve it.
Oh, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hardaway, second by Mr. Pettit. You guys tired tonight?
Yes,
Okay. It's been a long day.
yes.
Questions or comments on the motion?
Yeah, I have a comment. So I mentioned it during the meeting that they had. There is no significant difference between Nationwide and True Wealth. In my opinion, both of the investments that people are offered, a 457 plan is definitely valuable. It's basically what you call a deferred compensation plan. But when you look at the actual investment alternatives that our employees are going to be offered, they're basically garbage. They're retail investments. People are not given an opportunity to invest in real estate. They're not given an opportunity to invest in franchises. They're limited to what Wall Street wants to offer them. And I don't think that we've done a good enough job vetting to determine if there are some alternatives. For instance, the people that I work with in the private sector, there's a company that the Bushes use. When they invest, they're not buying retail investments. They have opportunities to invest in private equity and to do whatever they want with their money, and it's still in a tax-deferred basis. Whereas these particular investments, you're going to be limited to what Wall Street wants to offer you. You'll be able to do, you have two choices to vote yay or no, yes or no about what the CEOs of the organizations want. They have low returns on investment, if they have a return on investment at all. So I think that prior to just approving this, we should really vet to make sure that there are not adequate alternatives for the employees of the town of Merrillville, because there is no significant difference between this and Nationwide.
Mr. President,
Mr. Griffin?
notwithstanding what the venerable clerk treasurer shared with you, I know that that's informed by the basis of his private sector work. First, the meaningful differences in the fees. You're approaching near 2% on Nationwide. You'll be at 0.84 average fees for the True Wealth. And if you adopt this evening, it doesn't bar us from offering a second plan that will allow the choices that the clerk treasurer has suggested. We've had informal conversations where he favors self-directed plans, for example. But given what we'd like to do for our workforce, this would give us an immediate improvement on the products that we do have. The service that we get from Nationwide is by phone. This will be in person. And frankly, the people that we are going to engage, should you adopt this resolution, will give in-person meetings to our workforce that would like to be a member of it. And we think that this is a positive step to help guide them. And we've already told them that we hope, if this is adopted by you, that we'd like them to not just speak about 459 plans. We'd like them to talk about the 529 plan that's available in Indiana for deferred savings for education, for children or for adults. And there's no reason that they couldn't offer these other options to our workforce as well as they advise them. So I'm hopeful that, notwithstanding the recommendation of, it is awkward for me as an employee of the town and a servant of the council to speak as if I'm contradicting an elected officer of the unit. I hope it's not heard that way. I'm just giving an offer to another point of view with regard to why I believe the Personnel Committee is recommending this to you. I'm also doing that, even though my role for doing that is limited. And it doesn't bar us from exploring some of the other options that the clerk treasurer has suggested should be also allowed for our workforce. And I hope that you'll favor this resolution with your positive vote.
I have a question, Michael. Okay, you said
Madam Councilwoman.
the fees are lower.
Yes,
Are you talking about the fees being lower on all the investments
yes,
compared to Nationwide?
that is correct.
So Nationwide's fees are higher on mutual funds, bonds, et cetera, et cetera?
Right now, mutual funds are all that we're allowed to use under the Nationwide plan. And Mr. January is correct about, we're essentially using mutual fund products as well. And the fact that it is retail, which kind of goes to his point, we do have to pay fees for that service. But this is the combined fees to both use True Wealth and also the investment platform that is associated with John Hancock. But it also will allow us to get access to Vanguard and Fidelity fees. I know this, the market will be the market. The net investment gain for our workforce has to be better simply because, assuming the advice is sound, it has to be better because the fees are so profoundly lower. And we believe that it represents a vast improvement in service that Nationwide is able to give us now. This is not to say that Nationwide isn't a fine firm. They do a great body of work, but the nature of the plan that we've had and the nature of the service that we can get, which is only by phone, we like the idea of recommending this to you. True Wealth has been around a while. I happen to have served with one of the vice presidents of it on the Legacy Foundation board when I served on that. And one of the representatives that would work for us is a native Merrillville person, Mr. Prusen, whose name you should recognize. But they're all trained and they actually have the licenses that are necessary to give advice in the interests of our employees. Now, we just have 30 persons that are participating in the current plan. We think that's low. We'd like to try to do a thrust where we do more workshops to educate our workforce so that we can raise that. And of course, if there are other options out there, we're going to allow our workforce to be aware of them. And if they warrant modifying the 457 plan to include those, I don't think that the council should reject that. But we do think this is an important first step to make the improvement, and we would like to get started. And notwithstanding what the clerk treasurer said, in all respect for what he offered you.
Sure. And I don't, this is not necessarily a debate, but when you look at the actual returns on investment for most of these investments, they're probably providing about a 1% return on investment. And most people, if you had to make an investment in a business, if you had to wait 100 years to break even, most of you all would say, I'm not going to wait 100 years because you're not Methuselah. So I think that there are plenty of alternatives out there. And although the person may be a native Merrillville resident, this is business. This is about helping people make money and not add financial insecurity when the stock market is going up and down like a roller coaster. I believe that people definitely deserve an alternative in voting for another plan that is not what rich people do. There's a reason that 2% of society controls 90% of the wealth. And that's because they're not buying retail investments. They're selling to people that think that retail investments are the best thing since sliced bread. and think that it's okay to get a 1% return on investment. So I can go on and on and on, but I would recommend that we actually look for an alternative. There's no rush.
Thank you. So tell me the story behind this. We had several meetings with employees,
Yes.
and this was presented to quite a few employees in town in all departments, is that right?
Yes.
Did, Mr. January, you attended some of those meetings, did you?
Yes, I attended one.
Okay. Did you offer your opinion to the employees at
did.
that time? Okay.
I did.
Very
I
good.
said they were garbage.
Mr. January, I have a question.
Sure.
How many employees enrolled in it, or what is the percentage of our employees being interested in this plan?
I believe there are only 30 people that are currently enrolled. Now, Mr. Griffith knows that better than I, but there are 30 people currently enrolled. And I think that one of the things that motivates people to enroll in any program is making money. And although there are fees associated with it, people that traditionally invest in hedge funds are not paying 1% or 2%, they're paying 25%. But they're happy to get paid at 25% because they're actually making money.
Sure.
So 1% and 2%, it has to be put into perspective. Are you helping me make money? If you're not helping me make money, why am I paying you to begin with?
Any other comments from the council? Questions? None? Ms. Neal?
And you said during the meeting, when you had the meeting with the other employees, they were okay with the change, with the information that you provided for them?
Well, I believe it's an educational process. I say this from a perspective of somebody that's a CPA that has been a registered investment advisor that used to recommend these products. And once I actually just looked at them and tried to figure out why is it that so many people are struggling to make it, but yet a few people are making it, but yet we're all out here busting our butts in order to get ahead and following the conventional financial advice, but only a few people are actually getting ahead. Well, it's the advice that we're actually getting. The advice doesn't work for everybody. It works for a few people. So, and if you conclude otherwise, I mean, just look at the facts. So, and there is there's a reason that people like the Bushes that go all the way back to Prescott Bush don't invest in something like this. They have a plan through Pinnacle Plan Investments that allows them to invest in anything. Why should people be limited as to what they can invest in, whether they're an accredited investor or not an accredited investor? And that means somebody that's a millionaire versus a non-millionaire. I refuse to accept those titles, and I refuse to do stuff like that for clients. But I'm here as a treasurer of the town, and I'm just saying this from my professional opinion and having done this for a living. I'm not trying to get the town's business. I don't do this type of stuff, but I know there are better alternatives.
I have one more question.
Mrs. Usak?
Thank you. With the market being up today, as it has been the last couple of weeks, I believe, are they both paying the same amount of money on investment?
Sure. If you paid $400 and whatever dollars a share for Facebook right now, you're going to get 50 cents in the dividend.
On both of the,
Yeah, no matter where you buy it at. And that's just through, now we're buying it through a mutual fund. And the mutual fund is not just buying Facebook, it's buying Google, it's buying Amazon, it's buying a whole collection a basket of securities with the premise that they want to diversify their risk. Well, the reality is, if you diversify your risk and you just buy a whole bunch of investments and none of them are making you money, you're still going to be insecure because nothing is making you money. And that's what adds to people's financial insecurity. They're not getting a Social Security check. That's why the government's got to pass a resolution so it doesn't shut down because people want money, or if the pension is not paying or whatever. The insecurity is a result of people not being able to generate enough income. And these investments are poor income alternatives. When you retire, you will be forced to sell these investments, and you may have to sell these investments when the market is going down. That adds to insecurity, not financial. Financial security is often the same thing as economic insecurity.
Mr. President,
Mr. Griffin?
again, I ask leave for the council because I am your appointed official, and I respect every one of you as elected officers, the clerk treasurer included. I just want to offer this. The 1% yield is a remark on the part of the clerk treasurer. That is not something he knows to be historically so. He mentioned the Bushes and the other investments. I'm not fundamentally disagreeing with him about those other options. However, we pay our workforce with salaries. We don't have the options the Bushes have to have income generated that's reclassified, even though it's technically income. If it's a capital gain, it's treated very differently. and I know that the clerk treasurer is aware of what I'm saying. We still have the option to offer other options to our workforce, but I know from my personal experience and my other billet, I did very well in my 457 plan when I paid attention to the advice of my private broker, and I did very well. I am not rich, but I have a servant's heart for public service, and I will say that I've been given enough. Every one of my needs have been met, and not an inconsiderable amount of my wants. We believe that this is an important element to offer our workforce. Mutual funds ameliorate risk because it is a lot of pool. You're buying sort of the wisdom of the managers of the funds. But there's nothing that would stop you from formulating a plan that would allow direct investments where workers could get equities. I would not have the ken or the experience or the risk tolerance to offer those to our workforce, but I have no objections to having you have a 457 plan that allows for that. But we believe that the matter before you at this time is to change the advising system and underwriter that you have for the current plan. And we do believe, after everything we've seen, it's an improvement. It is not as good as self-directed plans or the kind of market returns. It does add a retail option. That's what's available to us. But we'll also have time to explore other options. And with your permission, if you decide to amend your plan, those can be made available to our workforce as well. We do believe that this is a fine recommendation for the council's consideration, and I don't make this to you lightly. And I thank the council.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk Treasurer.
When they talk about the financial
Finish up.
returns on investment, and I'm going to finish this up. When they talk about the historical returns on the stock market, they say that the stock market has been the best place to put your money since 1933, since the 1933 crash. And one of the questions I like to ask my clients is, if stocks are so profitable, why do you have to sell them to make money? I didn't have to sell my business to make money. You just operate the business, and you generate cash flow, and you can live off of that cash flow. The reality is stocks are not profitable, and the financial return on investment that they talk about, the historical return on investment of being 8.7% or whatever it is right now, is what they call a financial return on investment. There's a difference between a financial return on investment and an actual return on investment. That's when you get a return on investment is when you get cash. A financial return on investment takes into consideration how much the stock has typically gone up over a period of time. There's a big difference.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? Call for the vote. Mr. January, roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
No.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
6-1.
6-1, motion carries. Thank you. I think to clarify, this is just another tool in our toolbox, right? It's not the end-all of investments for town employees. Thank you. We have no BZA or large gathering actions before us this evening. Is there any old business? Moving on to new business, we have a memorandum of understanding between the Lake County Sheriff and the town of Merrillville for animal control services. We alluded to it earlier in the meeting. Mr. Newsis, anything to add? Chief?
Not at this time.
Mr. Griffin?
I have nothing else to add. We have discussed this. You've already prepared the additional appropriation, so there's no barrier. You have an appropriation in place if you want to act on this. We have a problem with impoundment resources or capacity. This will solve it. It's not ideal. We had discussed in our work study session the alternatives that you had. And so both the chief and I are presenting this to you as the least bad alternative, I guess, given our limitations in resources and the problem that we have before us with regard to animal populations that we have to deal with in giving full-service animal control.
Refresh my memory how where we identified the funding's going to come from. I know we had an estimate of so many dogs per month.
The funding right now has been identified in the CUMCAP Development Fund.
Okay,
We'll have to have a conversation about the sustainability about that, and I assume that that will come up either an additional appropriation request if we find that the estimates weren't sufficient. Let me say this, the guesses weren't sufficient, but it will be a topic for the budget.
and is it also true that some municipalities, even some very close to us, don't even pick up stray dogs? Is that the case, Chief?
Yes, that's correct.
And what do? They just let them run around free?
Yeah, They either try to get somebody to come pick them up, or they don't have an actual facility for them. The only thing they do address is dangerous animals.
Thank you.
The MOU has been reviewed by me as well, and it's in proper form, and it's a form that the Lake County Sheriff and Lake County government uses. So at this time, it's recommended that it's in compliance with Indiana law.
Thank you, Counselor.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Pettit,
Second.
second by Counselor Hardaway, for approval of a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between Lake County Sheriff and the town of Merrillville for animal control services. Questions or comments? Hearing none, it's a contract. I think we should vote, voice vote. Joe, did you okay?
Correct.
Mr. January, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Shawna Edwards,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor, motion carries. Mr. Griffin and Chief, expedite that with the sheriff, and, okay, thank you very much. Moving on tonight to public comment. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes for a public comment. Is there any public comment tonight?
Brian Messarch, 201 East 68th Place. I want to appreciate the spirited debate between Mr. January and Mr. Griffin. I think we need more of that. It sheds light on things. Ms. Griffin, please remember that he was voted for his expertise to change things in Merrill, not keep things status quo. I would like to bring up the Turkey Creek sign and the Sauk Trail sign, which we seem to have forgotten about. We need to push that forward. As we start the beautification and that island over there by Iddings, it would look really great if we got a new sign put up to designate the Sauk Trail. Speaking about mailboxes, if anyone drives down Broadway between 68th Place and 78th, the mailboxes look horrible. I don't know if that's the town's responsibility, the state's responsibility, or the property owners, but somebody should do something because it just looks terrible. And continuing on about my community, the abandoned buildings in my community in Merrill Heights, still nothing's being done. There's a building at 7,000 Catherine Street, right in front of Pierce, still has broken windows. I complained about it in November. I was told something was going to be done about it. It's now almost March, and nothing has been done about it. Mr. Berger is still complaining about the abandoned place next to his house, which is still an eyesore. And now there is a neighbor right behind my house at 6901 Connecticut Street. This is a single-family home that's been divided into 3 apartments. I don't know why anyone thinks that's a good idea, but it creates a traffic problem. They have their garbage cans on the street all the time, and now Republic has a commercial dumpster sitting on the edge of the curb. That my neighbors are now posting this on Facebook like, this is funny, like, hey, everybody, come and dump your stuff in this dumpster. And at what point in time are we going to get a code enforcement officer to come out and say, hey, this is not right? I don't understand it.
What was that address again, sir?
It's 6901 Connecticut Street. And because they have the dumpster set in an area that is asphalted for traffic or parking cars, now the cars that would park where the dumpster is, they're parking on the street. And Connecticut is, we've already complained for years about no sidewalks, and now it just causes way more congestion when the school traffic is going down to Pierce. It's terrible. I just want my neighborhood to look better.
How long has the dumpster been there?
That dumpster has been there for probably 2 or 3 days. Before the dumpster arrived, there was actually 6 of the 90-gallon cans, and 3 were Republic and 3 were Waste Management. The 3 from Waste Management, I have assumed, have always been there for the 3 apartments. Now, Republic has replaced the 3 90-gallon cans and put one of those, I don't know if it's not something that a small business would have. It's probably a couple thousand-gallon can. But the fact of the matter is this is the type of thing that should be sitting behind a business, not on the street. And this house, if it's being rented out and it's considered an apartment building, it should have a back area where the trash cans go. It shouldn't just be on the street all the time. It's frustrating to me because it seems like my neighborhood is taking steps backwards, not steps forward, and I would really like to get some help so that we can move forward.
Sure.
I appreciate your time.
What Brian is highlighting is one of my major issues. This is a single-family house with 3 people are living in it. Code enforcement needs to go over there and shut that situation down, because the moment that there's a fire, it's a potential fatality. Somebody is going to die because they have drywall versus bricks. It wasn't coded properly. This is something that's going on throughout the town of Merrillville, and we got to crack down on this type of crap.
My issue to
If I
that
could
is
speak
this:
up.
if we're going to allow owners of homes to rent them out, then that is now a business property. We need to hold the business owner accountable for grass being cut, garbage being put out, garbage being picked up, not necessarily the renter, because the renter could be here and then gone. We need to get a hold of owners, register the owners, and say, hey, take care of your property. And then I think most neighbors would be okay with that.
Yeah, it's zoned single-family. That's the major issue.
Chief?
Just in regards to that, as far as code enforcement goes, we're pretty limited due to federal and local laws as what we can do with them. As far as shutting it down, that's not an option that we do have via code enforcement. I think this is something that we can probably further discuss and maybe come up with a plan.
Oh, yeah, we got to do something, because it is absolutely irritating to see something like on 61st and Harrison that's obviously a multi-unit, being treated as a multi-unit, and it's a single family. That drives down property values.
Is there any other public comment? Moving on to announcements tonight, our next council meeting is March 12th at 6:30.
Mr. President, there's also a Plan Commission meeting on the 5th at
March?
6:30. Yep,
March 5th, 6:30?
yep. That's what Sheila said.
You know, we'll make a notation, because I think every meeting we're missing some
Yeah, because it's not on
announcements.
here.
So we'll,
Well, she just has to, if we have petitions, she's got to see when the petitions get filed, whether or not we have a meeting.
so
Oh, then you
Sheila
don't
needs to
really
loop
know.
in Linda.
No, she does. She
She
has
does?
2 petitions, yes.
Okay, good.
She has 2
Well,
petitions.
Sheila has to loop in Linda then, so they
Yep,
get on here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it would be on here.
Yep.
Chair, entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.